Last night you had a ball, huh? I couldn't recognize half you guys. A few years ago, my club, together with Rotarians from Holger's country, Germany, with the help of our Rotary Foundation, built a very modern maternity hospital in the southern part of my country to replace one which had been destroyed by the tsunami. So when the then chair of our Rotary Foundation was D.K. Lee, visited Sri Lanka, we took him to see our new hospital. We saw the mothers coming to deliver babies and others bringing their newborn babies for care. Hundreds of families receiving these vital services, which was really absent in that area. From there, we went into the neonatal intensive care unit, the product of so much work and investment. Inside it, there were 9 incubators, every one of them with a rotary wheel, and every one of them occupied. In one of them lay a baby girl weighing just 900 grams or just under 2 pounds. She could have fit in the palm of my hand, covered with tubes all over. And she was fighting for every breath, fighting harder than someone 100 times her size. And as I watched that tiny chest rise and fall, I realized I was holding my breath, waiting for her next breath, and the next, and the next. Each one a result of so much effort from someone so desperately small. And my heart went out to that baby, this little baby who had come too soon into the world. So I whispered, "Fight, baby, fight. This is a wide world out there waiting for you, if only you will fight." She was small, she was poor, she was sick, but she was not forgotten. She would not be left to die. She was someone's precious child, and we Rotarians had cared for her. We had done all we could to give her that chance to live because of the power of our foundation. And that is what I've come here to talk to you about. Our foundation is not static. It's evolving, it's revolving, and it's becoming more relevant to the times. This year, the trustees will launch a new program called Programs of Scale. These grants will challenge Rotary clubs to think big and approach co-partners and sponsors to join them in a comprehensive solution to major issues, the benefits of which will reach a large population. Let me give you one example. Cervical cancer is the only cancer which is vaccine preventable. If one could vaccinate every child in a country, especially the girls, in the age group of, let's say, 8 to 10, and if one could screen every woman in the age group 35 to 45, you can, in theory, eradicate cervical cancer in your country. But it's unlikely that Rotarians alone could achieve this in their country or region. It is the type of project that can be repeated everywhere, but no one organization, not even Rotary, can do it alone. It needs the effort of multiple agencies working together, similar to our efforts in the polio program. And that's the type of projects Programs of Scale was designed to support. Programs of Scale will award a single $2 million grant every year. And in my view, it will bring about the same transformative change in our foundation projects as the 3H program did when it was introduced in 1978 by then President and now Sir Clem Renouf. Remember, that's how Polio Plus began in the Philippines. But you will learn more about it in due course. And that brings me to your other priorities for next year. This year's priorities are aligned with a new Rotary Action Plan and everything the Rotary Foundation does to help us increase our impact. Our first priority, number one, is, of course, to end polio. This is the number one priority of our entire organization. We must work towards this end with every muscle, every sinew, and every fiber in our system and in our body. We must finish the job. It's true. It's true that in the last year, we have seen increases in the number of cases. This was a concern, but it's a challenge we anticipated. We are confident of finding the solutions. Remember, we have already reduced the number of polio cases by 99.9%. Remember that 18 million children, now perhaps adults, are walking free today because of us. $18 million children. Remember that type 2 and type 3 polio has already been eradicated. That leaves only type 1. We are now down to only 2 countries reporting the wild polio virus, Pakistan and Afghanistan. We will finish the job. Our second priority, to increase contributions to the annual fund and polio while building the endowment fund to $2.025 billion by 2025. Our comprehensive fundraising goal this year is $410 million, which is only $10 million increase from last year's goal. Our goal, of course, that 410 may be broken down to 50 million for polio, duly matched double by the Gates Foundation to bring the total to 150 million. I mean, that's so easy. If every club contributed just $1,500, we would already meet that goal. Then we have $135 million for the annual fund. Then we have a further $85 million for the endowment fund in outright gifts and commitments. And finally, we have $40 million for other outright gifts which we usually get, which adds up to the grand total of $410 million. Let me dwell just a moment on the annual giving goal of $135 million. Do you know that nearly 20% of our clubs do not contribute to our foundation's annual fund, nor do any of their members? Can you believe that? Surely we can do better than that. And I'm asking this class, which President-elect Holger says is the best class ever assembled, to rectify those numbers. You are the best class, right? So that's easy then. We need to hit our goals if we are to find the ever-increasing demand for our global grants, which enable our clubs to change lives. Equally, our endowment fund is a great way for all Rotarians to perpetuate their values and create a Rotary legacy which provide resources for future generations of Rotarians. A strong endowment, my friends, will guarantee the long-term financial stability of our foundation. Our goal is ambitious, but it is achievable. The 2025 by 2025 initiative is to build an endowment of $2.025 billion by the year 2025. By 2025, we anticipate our foundation's endowment having a minimum of $1 billion in net assets, with a balance in expectancies and bequest-type commitments. Now imagine the good we will be able to do with a $2 billion endowment. The investment earnings alone will provide approximately $100 million for Rotarians to do all kinds of life-changing projects around the globe year after year. Our third priority is to improve the measurable impact of our grants. Once upon a time, our goodness could only be measured in vague perceptions of public opinion. Today, we want to know the real impact of our act of charity, what it has done to the community. Gifting benches and tables to a class in a village school is a legitimate act of service. But how many children go through that class? Were the proper teachers there to teach those children? Were the benches secure in the class, or would they be stolen? Would 5 benches do when the class actually needed 50? So we need to create projects that do more than just make us feel good that we did a project. Our project must change lives. This is not about dollars. It never was. This is about lives and changing lives. Now, I started by telling you of the maternity hospital in my country, hospital that our foundation helped us build. And nearly 2 years after that visit, when I became president nominee of Rotary, I had the chance to visit that same hospital again. We were allowed into that same intensive care unit. This time, only a few of those incubators were occupied. And then after our visit, we all came to the hall where we stopped and talked to the doctors and nurses. And you know what? They told us that in that period, 140,000 babies had been born in the hospital that Rotary built. And there I was introduced to a young mother with a child who had come for her routine visit. Sweet kid, big dark eyes, beautiful smile, a year or two old, busy, learning to walk and talk. I love kids, so I instinctively reached out to her. And she came to me. I carried her around and I chatted with her mother while she was trying to grab my specs and, pulling my hair and so on. And just then, one of the doctors came up to me with a smile on her face and asked, "Do you remember, Mr. Ravindran, the last time you were visiting us, there was one child in that incubator and you were so anxious, about the child?" And I said, "Yes, of course. How can I forget?" She paused. She touched that child, patted the child, and said, "This is the child." And it was I who struggled to breathe. This was the child there in my arms, a little girl who lived because of Rotary, who smiled, who laughed, who gave joy to her parents because of the Rotary Foundation. When you think about that, everything else just falls away. And I'm asking you all today, when you go home, when you make your plans for next year, keep our foundation foremost in our minds. It gives substance to our Rotary membership. It changes lives. Thank you.